Look at your hand right now. If you have a clearly marked letter M between the lines of your palm or a crescent moon, even if it's subtle, this video is for you, and it's no coincidence that you're here, because those who carry these symbols tend to live a different life, more intense, more challenging, more profound. Maybe you haven't even noticed until today, but from now on, it'll be impossible to ignore. You're more special than you realize. You might think it's nonsense, just a coincidence. But stay with me, because throughout this video, I'm going to show you why these marks on your hand are much more than just appearance. They carry messages that explain a lot about your story, and especially about what's still to come. In fact, I'm going to tell you which phases of life you've probably already gone through, and why nothing that happened was by chance. Some people are born with this. Some only notice after a long time. But what all these people have in common is a feeling, the sense that they never quite fit into the world. From an early age, they feel more, think too much, carry a weight they don't even know where it comes from. And even without understanding, they go on with the feeling that there's something greater waiting for them. If you identify with this, you're not alone. And what's marked on your hand is just the beginning of the answer. These symbols have been studied by ancient traditions, including Buddhist monks, who recognized in them signs of heightened consciousness, rare sensitivity, and spiritual potential. And today, even science is starting to approach this because the body speaks all the time. And when you learn to listen to what your hand is trying to tell you, everything starts to make sense, including that difficult phase of your life that you never understood until now. If this has already sparked something inside you, leave your like. Subscribe to the channel to keep receiving content like this. And comment below where you're from, because I want to know how far this video will reach and how many special people like you are scattered across this world. There's a lot for us to discover together. There's something you need to understand right away. In the oldest Buddhist traditions, these signs, such as the clearly marked letter M or the crescent moon shape on the hand, were not seen as mere curiosities. They were considered spiritual marks, indications that that soul carried a different energy, a higher mission, an uncommon sensitivity. They were called bearers of the thin veil, people who live closer to consciousness, more open to the invisible. And I know what might be going through your mind right now, but I've seen other people with this mark. It can't be that rare, and that's where a lot of people get it wrong. Because while there are variations in the lines on hands, this specific shape of a well-formed letter or a clear crescent moon appears in only about 4% of the world's population. That's right, 4 out of every 100 people. So if you have this, don't think it's common. You're part of a silent minority, a minority with a unique calling. And here's the thing. This isn't about a fixed destiny. It doesn't mean that just because you have this mark, your life is already written, but it does mean you carry potential, a heightened sensitivity, a clearer intuition, a more direct connection to what's invisible. And when you start living in alignment with this, the answers come, decisions become easier, the pains make more sense, and even the paths that seemed closed open up. Those who carry the marked letter M or the visible crescent moon aren't living just any life. It might seem like an exaggeration to outsiders, but deep down you feel it, because this symbol is a reflection of something much deeper, a spirit in an advanced stage of evolution, someone who has come to this world many, many times, who has already learned, already erred, already taught, and now might be in one of their final incarnations. This isn't a pretty theory. It's ancient wisdom, and the life you lead is the greatest proof of it. Do you know why so much hurts so much? Because when a spirit reaches this point in the journey, it's no longer tested with small things. It's proven with what really matters, with losses that cut the soul, with loves that leave too soon, with families that don't embrace, with friendships that betray, with jobs that suffocate, with dreams that always seem just out of reach. And all this doesn't come to punish you. It comes to see if you're ready, if you understand, if you can see beyond the pain. It's as if the spiritual world said, do you really want to awaken? Then let's see how much you're willing to grow, even when everything seems to collapse. And so those phases happen where everything hits at once. You lose someone, your finances crumble, a betrayal appears, and you still have to smile, work, keep going, and inside you scream in silence, why is it all happening to me? The answer is because you can handle it, because only those who have evolved this far have the strength to go through this, and even so, choose good. Maybe you've lived the pain of a marriage that lost its spark, where only you were fighting, where the loneliness of sleeping next to someone was greater than if you were alone. Or maybe you were betrayed by someone you trusted, your husband, wife, friends, people you loved. You probably poured yourself into that relationship and they acted in the worst way toward you. This is very common for people with the letter M or Crescent Moon. It could be that your greatest wound came from family, a distant father, a critical mother, a strained relationship with a sibling, or maybe a child you raised with all your love who now barely looks you in the eye. And you try to understand where you went wrong. You gave. You tried to get it right. But even so, you carry this emptiness, as if something is always missing, and this is where many people get lost. But not you, because even bleeding inside, you keep getting back up, and that's what sets you apart, and it doesn't stop there. People with this sign almost always carry a sequence of disappointments with friends, people who said, "I'm with you," and vanished at the first. Difficulty. People who used you as a counselor, a shoulder, a support, but never asked if you were okay. And so you closed off. You started trusting less, expecting less. But deep down, the pain still throbs because what you wanted was never quantity. It was truth. It was reciprocity. And then you start to wonder, is the problem me? Because it's hard to understand how, even being good, you attract so much pain. But the truth is, you don't attract it. You endure it. You transform it. And that's why life hands you bigger challenges, because it knows that inside you there's a strength you don't even understand, a strength that comes from other lives, other existences, and now just needs to be awakened again. And even so, you tried to fit in. You tried to mold yourself. You tried to believe that's just how it is. But the truth is, you always knew you were different. Since you were little, this feeling of displacement has followed you. Shallow conversations tire you. Empty parties bore you. Purposeless consumption bothers you. You don't find pleasure in competing. You don't cling to things. You like silence. You like peace. You feel the world demands too much of you and offers little in return. But despite all this, there's something inside you that never went out. The search, a desire to understand, to connect, to find a greater meaning for it all. You've looked for answers in books, religions, therapies. You've tried meditating, praying, quieting the mind. And even without knowing the name, what you're seeking is spirituality. It's truth. It's belonging. Because your spirit, deep down, knows it's not here for the first time. If you're here watching this video, It's because you're seeking greater knowledge, not shallow, different from other people. And that's where it all fits together. Because those who carry this sign on their hand, the letter M or the crescent moon, aren't here to repeat patterns. They're here to break them, to awaken. Awakening hurts because it demands that you look at your wounds, that you recognize your repetitions, that you let go of what no longer serves, that you forgive those who never asked for forgiveness, that you keep going even without applause, that you listen to your soul even when the whole world is shouting something else. These trials you've lived through weren't punishments. They were training. Life doesn't throw stones at those who are asleep. It shakes those who are ready to wake up, and you are ready even if you don't feel it. Even if you think you're past the point, because if you've made it this far listening to this, it's because your soul recognized the call. And this call doesn't come from outside. It comes from within, from the part of you that remembers who you really are. And as tough as the journey has been so far, it prepared you. It made you sensitive, intuitive, compassionate. It made you strong in a way the world doesn't teach. You might think you're not, that you're fragile, sensitive, but few people endure woes with these signs on their hands go through, and now all that hurts so much starts to make sense. The betrayal taught you boundaries. The loss taught you detachment. The loneliness taught you to listen to yourself. The disappointment taught you to see every scar as a message, every phase a purpose. This sign on your hand isn't magic, but it's not chance either. It's a reminder that you've come too far to get lost now, that you carry a mission that has nothing to do with titles, status, or fame. You're special, an evolved being, but you're here like everyone else, needing to fulfill your mission for your awakening. If you have the letter M or the crescent moon on your palm, you've noticed. There's something inside you that never leaves you in peace, a feeling that you haven't yet fulfilled what you came here to do, a restlessness that comes and goes but always returns. And no matter how much you change cities, jobs, relationships, it stays with you. And do you know why? Because that's your mission, and it won't go away until you say, I'm ready. And here's the truth. Every mission is unique. Some people came to heal with words, others with silence. Some came to teach, to protect, to care, to create. But what all these missions have in common is the same starting point, awakening. The mission of those with this sign isn't to be perfect or to save the world. It's to wake up and remember. And when that happens, everything around you starts to change because you start vibrating differently. If you stop now, close your eyes for a minute and ask yourself, what is my calling? You'll feel an answer. It might not come in words. It might come as an image, a memory, a feeling in your chest. But it comes because deep down you already know. You've always known. Since you were a child, you felt pulled towards something you haven't yet been able to explain, and that something is your mission trying to remind you where to go. And want a clue? Look at the cycles that repeat in your life, the things that seem to always come back one way or another. Relationships that follow the same pattern, problems that change names but have the same root, situations that feel like persecution but are lessons. The patterns that hurt the most are exactly the ones you came to heal, not just in yourself but in your blood, your lineage, your story. And when you break them, you free much more than you imagine. That's why, for those with this sign, nothing is small. Everything has weight. Everything has a reason. You feel things deeply because you came to transform deeply. And you don't need to announce it to the world. You just need to live it with truth. A mission isn't shouted, it's practiced, sometimes in small gestures, sometimes in silent decisions, but always with the awareness that your life isn't random. It has a purpose, and now that you know, you can't pretend you don't anymore. So stop, breathe, and observe. What is life trying to show you? What are you repeating without realizing? And what can you finally do differently today? Because when you start answering these questions with honesty, the mission reveals itself and the awakening begins. Because awakening is never about changing everything. It's about starting to see everything with the right eyes. If at any point in this video you manage to identify what your mission is, everything starts to make more sense. When we recognize our calling, even if we don't yet know it, exactly how to put it into practice, the universe starts to reorganize, and everything that was once a burden begins to reveal itself as part of a bigger plan. Pain gains purpose, loss becomes liberation, and the answers you are seeking outside start to emerge from within. And that's why I want to ask you a serious question now. At any point in your life, did you feel like everything suddenly started to get better? That relationships became lighter, that you finally found someone who respects you, that your relationship with your family became healthier, that money started to flow, that you stopped sabotaging yourself so much. Because if so, maybe you've already fulfilled your mission, and now you're living what comes next. The relief, the lightness, the spiritual reward, the preparation for what's to come in the next plane. If you went through those situations we mentioned earlier at some point in your life, but then your life improved, you found the right people, strengthened your family bonds, or made incredible friendships after people you trusted betrayed you. That's a big sign. No, this doesn't mean your life will be perfect, but it does mean that that inner knot, that anguish that seemed like it would never go away, starts to disappear. You start to see everything with more clarity. The right people come closer, the wrong ones drift away, and most importantly, you finally feel like you're where you're supposed to be, even if there are still challenges. Because now you face them differently, with maturity, with serenity, with presence. On the other hand, if none of this has happened yet, if you still feel like you're carrying a heavy weight, that you're stuck, that everything seems to repeat, that you're living as if trapped in the same chapter, that says a lot too. It means your mission is still in progress. And it will only be fulfilled the moment you make the choices your soul has been asking for a long time. The day you have the courage to listen to that call, everything will change. Awakening doesn't come by magic. It comes by choice. It begins the moment you stop repeating what once destroyed you, when you forgive without being asked, when you put yourself first without guilt, and finally say enough to everything that diminished your soul. That's when a new cycle opens, not one without pain, but one where pain no longer controls you. You feel lighter, more at peace, alive, not just existing. What once hurt deeply no longer has the same weight. That's how you know something has shifted. Awakening doesn't happen in calm moments. It happens in chaos, when life pushes you to the edge and the answers stop coming from outside. It comes in silence, surrender, and truth. Not everyone who awakens is spared from pain, but those who do awaken gain the strength to pass through it. As you evolve, what no longer matches your frequency begins to fall away. People, habits, routines. This isn't loss, it's alignment. You may feel confused, exhausted, or lost between who you were and who you're becoming, but this space is sacred. It's where the soul rebuilds itself in truth. Then things start to flow. Synchronicities appear. Opportunities arise. You stop forcing, stop proving, stop chasing. What's meant for you begins to find you. This isn't ego, it's evolution. You've outgrown what once kept you small. Your energy changes, your presence changes, and others feel it even if you can't explain it. Awakening isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a life with meaning, presence, and truth. And if you're in the middle of chaos right now, breathe. Something new is being born. Once the soul awakens, there's no going back. And that's when life truly begins.